Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome once again to our weekly media briefing with Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich. I'm Lorna Virgilla, Hispanic Public Information Officer, and joining us today is Dr. Keisha Davis, the county's health officer, Dr. James Bridgers, Director of the Department of Health and Human Services, Mr. Sean O'Donnell, Acting Deputy Chief of Public Health Services, Dr. Earl Strider, Assistant Chief Administrative Officer, and we have two very special guests this afternoon. Michael Baskin, who is the Chief Innovation Officer for the county, as well as James Hawkins, Innovation Accelerator Lead. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Mr. County Executive, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. Yesterday, we got several calls about the announcement by Police Chief Marcus Jones that he plans to retire in July 1st. I'm grateful to Chief Jones for his service to the county and to the community, and in his 4 years as chief, he's shown compassion for victims, a willingness to modernize MCPD, and a steadfast advocacy on behalf of the officers in his department. I want to just add in here that this was known to us. Chief Jones was in a program we call the DROP program, and people let us know up to 3 years out that these are going to be their last 3 years. And so we anticipated that he would be resigning sometime in this year, because it is his third year of the 3-year DROP program. So it's not a surprise. It isn't anything new. It's a decision he made a few years ago to retire at this point. Chief Jones has been a strong partner in implementing the innovative practices that we've been trying to introduce into policing in Montgomery County, and particularly new public safety technologies that improve security for our residents and the safety of our officers. And during a period of police recruitment challenges nationwide, I was glad to work with him on increasing pay for our officers, as well as providing signing bonuses for new officers. I'm not the first, and I'm not going to be the last to thank him for his service. That we've already heard from people, who've let us know how much they appreciate what he's done. And it's far too soon to start talking about who will lead the department next. Whoever it is going to be someone who is willing, as Chief Jones was, to continue to implement the kind of changes that will make this department an even better department. And we start out by being a really good department. So we're familiar with the work we have to do, and doing it for a few years now. On a fun front today, this morning, I went before the Maryland Board of Public Works and talked in details about our plans for the Flash Bus Rapid Transit Network, also known as the BRT. Our Flash BRT network is the solution to providing better transit across the county. Say historically, when they built the Red Line, it was primarily built to move people from the suburbs into the city. And it wasn't built to provide interconnectivity inside the suburban communities, and Montgomery County was no different. The BRT network begins to provide a transportation network that actually serves Montgomery County for the purposes of developing and growing Montgomery County. So it's a real shift in focus to where transit needs to be. And we're grateful for the Metro, and we will be very happy when we put in place the network of bus rapid transit that'll complement that. Also, I'll thank the state for nearly $80 million that's earmarked for Flash. This transit network is the most effective and efficient use of taxpayer dollars to alleviate congestion while helping us achieve our climate action plan goals of reducing 100% carbon emissions by 2035. And last year, we've gone from our initial Flash bus route on US 29 to designing 5 more routes along 355, University Boulevard, New Hampshire Avenue, and a couple of others. 3 of those lines will intersect at the Wheaton station at the North Bethesda Metro stations. And there are hospitals, colleges, campuses, and countless businesses on these fast-track bus routes. And when we're able to build that out completely, there'll be largely dedicated bus lanes to ensure that there really is an advantage in taking the Flash bus. I'll also point out that one of those lines, the Veers Mill line, will connect the red line, the north end of the red line, from going from Wheaton to Rockville. And so for people otherwise who would have to contemplate in Silver Spring, taking the Metro through the city and then coming out the other end and going up to toward Rockville. We'll now be able to do that by going up to the Wheaton station and taking a BRT line across Veers Mill Road. There are real benefits to the Flash system. It's going to be higher frequency transit network. The buses will have bike racks, free Wi-Fi, and USB charging, level boarding, so getting on and off is going to be easier. The stations are much more modern and will be far better than the bus stations we've got out there today. It's definitely going to support economic revitalization and development. It certainly plays the transportation network plays that role in other jurisdictions in the DC area, then creates a convenient and environmentally sustainable transit connection with the zero emission buses that we're going to be putting into place. And we remind people that, many of our bus riders right now have incomes below $35,000, very different than the general population of Montgomery County. And so having quick and affordable transportation for them is very important in terms of getting them to work and how long it takes to get people to work. And I've been actually working on implementing this since 2008. Back then, my aide, Dale Tibbetts, and I laid out the map that was actually pretty much implemented by Park and Planning and the council some years later. We identified the origin destination pairs on Montgomery County's road. Where did people live and where are they going to for work? And we laid out a system of busways that would make those connections. But when we were doing this, one of our examples, poster child for how you could do this and do it right and quickly, was Toronto. And Toronto had actually done their system in like 2 years. And we thought we could do our system in 2 years. And it turned out here we are many, many years later and not where we need to be. And the biggest difference between us and Toronto, and I will say us and any other jurisdiction that's implemented transit, whether it be heavy rail, light rail, or bus rapid transit, has been they've had access to money, and this county has not had access to money. The state has never had a fund large enough to do this. The counties have never been allowed to raise money on their own to do this, and the federal money doesn't give you money. Federal government doesn't give you money unless they know where you're getting the rest of your money from. So without us being able to raise money, without adequate funding coming from the state, it has been a slow path to something that we needed years ago and could have been done quicker and better if we'd had the resources to do it. The network is an important factor because it's important for growth and economic development.
They don't move. Okay.
Many times you'll find articles written in the business community about the importance of transportation, being able to move people quickly and efficiently from home to work and to places of commerce, and how important that is. How important that is in general to try to bring and attract business to the community. So we know that BRT has an important role to play here in terms of driving more commerce to Montgomery County, and that's one of the big drivers behind doing this system. So we will be in a much better place with this money. This money will help us close the loop on the Veers Mill part of the project. Buses in Montgomery County. It will support more important projects like pedestrian upgrades for Route 27 between Clarksburg and Damascus, bike trails on Bowie Mill Road, and improvements along Great Seneca Science Corridor. One of those improvements, it helps connect the Science Corridor to the Red Line station at Shady Grove, and that will help make a quick connection into the businesses that we are growing in the Science Corridor up there. It also includes a Norwood Road bike path and a Cherry Hill Road bike facility through this funding that was approved by the Board of Public Works today. So we're very grateful to that. We're really grateful for the partnership that we have with Governor Westmore and the whole of his administration. We work together. We speak a common language. We have very similar interests in what we would like to see for the future of our county and our state. And it's been really beneficial for Montgomery County to have him as governor of the state. In other news, earlier this week, we had a chance to highlight some of the work that's being done to eliminate inefficiencies in our government. Several times a year, our innovation teams lead employees um, into exploring their ideas on how to make positive changes within Montgomery County government through an accelerator program. And our colleagues are questioning the way we've always done things to find new and better ways to serve our residents. To me, this is one of the most important things we're doing. We've actually asked employees to look at their jobs, look at how work is done in Montgomery County, and to think about how it can be changed to be more productive, to make the job more satisfying, to make the customers happier with the jobs we're performing. And these programs have been going on, for nearly 4 years now, with a little interruption from COVID. But they really are important, and employees come up with great ideas. I always enjoy going to these celebrations for the end of the cohort, because you actually get to see the projects that they put on the table and what the benefits are going to be for the county. So I just wanted them to know, and I wanted our Chief Innovation Officer, Michael Baskin, and James Hawkins, who's going to be the new lead for the Innovation Accelerator program, how much I appreciate and recognize the importance of this work. I always tell the employees that, we know you want to work for Montgomery County. Hopefully you want to work here because of the purpose that, and satisfaction that comes out of doing the kind of work we do in the county government. But I don't want anybody to assume that just because you're working here, that the way we do things is absolutely the only way there is to do things. And, I've always been very open and encouraging people to look at the jobs they're doing and question whether there are better ways to do those jobs. And you see this in these cohorts. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the innovation team, Michael and James, to have a few words.
Thanks, County Executive. And we really, I think all the employees appreciate the support and the curiosity that you bring to them finding the smallest of processes that can have the biggest of impacts. In our Bright Spot showcase yesterday, an opportunity not just to shine a light on the amazing employees who are finding ways to make things better for the people that we serve, but also to find ways for us to be able to copy what works and invest more in what works and let go of the things that don't work. And that's sort of at the heart of our innovation program, which has 3 components: the Innovation Accelerator that the County Executive just spoke of, our amazing civic design team, and open innovation events like the Bright Spots event. The Accelerator is an introduction to structured problem solving as a course and as a community. And we're grateful to have over 24 departments who have already sent employees through, as diverse as alcohol, beverage services and libraries, health and human services, and transportation and procurement. And all of them coming and asking that question, which is, how do we make things better for the residents we serve? Whether that is helping residents to schedule an appointment for a family member in need, for dental services with services to end and prevent homelessness, or helping people to pay online when they're getting improvements in front of their homes with the transportation department, or lifting up employees who are making it easier to figure out what's going on with the trees in front of my house. We know that we have incredible employees who are doing lots of work, and our job with the Accelerator is to help create the space and the training and the tools and the coaching and that community of support to help them unleash what it is that they can do. Our civic design team has had the pleasure of working with Chief Jones and the police department to increase diversity in the recruiting for our police force, working with Access to Behavioral Health on improving the intake forms for their projects. And so they work with a human-centered design approach, which helps us to more deeply understand challenges, explore multiple solutions, and say, hey, this is the way that government has always approached it from a government perspective. How do we go and put the humans, the constituents, and their perspective at the center to make sure that we are not advertising 42-gallon bins when what someone is looking for is a blue bin. And so we're really grateful for that team as well. And then we have open innovation events like the one that we had yesterday, where we bring together folks from across county government to highlight those bright spots and spread what's working. And we saw a bunch of cool ones from the last Accelerator there. James, is there anything you want to share from the last Accelerator?
Yeah, as Michael stated, people come to the Accelerator with challenges, and we help them through structured problem solving reach solutions. And one of our highlights from our last Accelerator cohort is a corrections nurse who noticed that the bags that the nurses use to respond to emergencies Oftentimes we're missing items or not easily located. So she used the course to come up with a better way to restock the bags and put them in a way that our nurses can respond to emergencies much faster and to have the necessary tools that they need. And the time and the tools that they need really does result in lives being saved. So we have innovations that are as much as people just helping themselves become more organized, all the way to innovations that are helping to save lives in a more quickly and efficient way. And no matter what those things are, those challenges that people present, we have a structured problem-solving method that can help people reach solutions and in a way that can also help them teach others how to replicate that success.
Yeah, thanks, James. And James was a member of the original Innovation Accelerator cohort. And so it's really exciting for us is we believe that this is very much community organizing inside of government. And so employees are supporting themselves and building time to support each other. And so that's hopefully spreads across the entire county. And we're really looking forward to the work that James is going to be doing to scale this up around county government. And so also it means that if you are experiencing challenges with our services, let us know so that we can help and support those teams and their work to make things better. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baskin and Mr. Hawkins. Members of the media, we're going to open it up now for questions regarding government, county government innovation right now. Other questions toward the end of this presentation. So if you have any questions regarding innovation, please raise your hand right here on the chat and we'll call on you. Raise your hand. Any questions regarding innovation? Oh, there's Suzanne Pollack with Montgomery Community Media. Good afternoon, Suzanne. Go ahead.
I just wanted to find out when this all started. Is this like brand new or?
Yeah, sure. So we draw on a variety of traditions. And so work like this has happened everywhere from Chattanooga, Tennessee, Denver, Los Angeles. I was brought on 4 years ago, about 6 months before the pandemic, which is when we launched the initial Innovation Accelerator cohorts. We brought them online during the pandemic, and now James is here to scale those up. And I think the important thing, though, is that there's been innovation happening across Montgomery County government always, and our job is to help to scale that success and provide the scaffolding that allows employees to see the world in new ways. And then bring the world into better ways of working.
Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you, Suzanne. Any more questions, members of the media, regarding innovation in Montgomery County government? No more questions? Going once? Going twice? Well, thank you, Michael and James, for joining us this afternoon. You can remain on the call if you like, if you have to go. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Have a great afternoon. Thank you. Mr. County Executive, other topics?
Yes, so and thank you guys for doing this today. It's I had a great time going down and talking to people about their innovations earlier, and it's just exciting to see that this work's continuing. So thank you, and thank everybody on your teams who are helping to make this possible for everybody. Every February, we honor Black History Month, and I grew up and I lived through times when racism, bigotry, and hatred had an ironclad grasp on society. I grew up in D.C. in the 50s. You saw it there. When I moved out to Montgomery County in 1960, you definitely saw it here. It was marked by segregation and unequal justice, or you might put it more directly, it was a hallmark of injustice. And there still remain strong and violent headwinds in the fight for justice. And it's, I hope everybody understands how alarming it is that, 100 and almost 60 years after the end of slavery, we still can't get race relations right in this county. It is, I will not single out the county. You could just substitute country for county, but it's a major problem. We've not come to terms with slavery and the consequences of slavery. Other societies have chosen to try to reconcile what happened, and America's kind of gone about this and let's pretend like it didn't happen and everything is better approach to things, and everything is not better, everything is not good. And some of the largest impediments now are people who want to roll back the gains that have been made. And we're not going to let that happen. Certainly not here. And we're not going to be satisfied with the status quo here either. We've made progress in Montgomery County as we emphasized equitable delivery of services for all our community. For example, in community health, we're moving off of just a disease-driven model to a community-driven model where you actually look at what are the social determinants of health, how are non-directly health issues related to people's health and health outcomes. And so that's part of the work we're doing there. We've made a point to ensure that all of our decisions, from fiscal decisions to programmatic decisions, are seen through a racial equity perspective and a social justice perspective so that no groups are left out. We ask ourselves, where are we spending our money? And is there a pattern of spending our money in certain communities and not in others? And I'll go back to my predecessor, Mike Leggett. One of the first things he did when he came in was insist that we start upgrading the historically Black recreation centers in Montgomery County. So here are these centers, in some cases, literally falling apart. And the county had gleefully built these major new rec centers for other people who don't look like the people for whom these rec centers were intended. And he made it a priority to put money in the budget to deal with historically Black rec centers. And I thought that was one of the best decisions that he made, and I thought it made a statement about where priorities had to go. And I think he kind of set things in motion for the work that we're continuing to do now. But even with these lenses in place, our Black population occupies the lowest rungs of virtually every social determinant. If you look at home ownership, income distribution, access to community health, education parity, or people who are rent burdened, that's where you'll find large portions of the Black community. And we have to work to do here in Montgomery County to get people more hope for a better future. And it's going to take a lot of hard work moving forward, but we're going to do that work, and we're going to create more opportunities for everybody here because that's something that we absolutely need to do. So I just wanted to say that, we have deepened generational poverty. Generational poverty is when people can look back and see that, for generations, their families have been poor. That poverty wasn't something that happened just to their parents, but poverty was a condition that went back to their grandparents and their grandparents before them. And poverty affects academic outcomes. That's like a fact. And poor academic outcomes limit job opportunities and income potential. That's also a fact. And so if kids are raised in poverty, they're more likely to not do as well in school, to not have the same job opportunities, and to never achieve the kind of incomes that other people are able to achieve. And this generation raised in poverty and growing up as adults in poverty is raising another generation of children in poverty. And people can look back at their lives or their families historically and see an unbroken line of poverty, and they come to see it as fate or destiny from which almost no one ever escapes. And when you don't see a lot of people in your community getting out of that, that's the perception you're left with. The psychological, emotional damage done to young people who don't have historical perspective or don't understand the forces that put them in this situation. You wind up with a lot of kids who are growing up without hope and don't believe they're going to have a future. And viewing the world through that lens is unhealthy and damaging. It's damaging to people who think that way, and it's ultimately damaging to society. And if you think about just the waste of brain power because of our failure to bring all of the community to a level of education and capability that would give all people a better opportunity to contribute more widely to society. It is not just a loss, it's a loss for all of us. And I will say parenthetically, you could say the same thing about the role of women in American society who systematically were excluded from things, despite the fact their brains worked every bit as well as the man's brain, not having the opportunity for years and decades to have the kind of experiences that would have led them to better places economically. For those of us who don't have this lived experience, it can be hard to imagine. I know that I talk to people about this, and people were just sometimes in disbelief that kids somehow just don't, you know, get it together and move up and move out. And I think, it's easy for us to say because we don't have that experience. But for people who are mired in that, the problem is real and the problem is persistent. And I hope everybody, as we think about Black History Month, would think about the consequences this has on the kids and what it means if the kids are victims and the kids do not see hope in the world, what the likely outcomes of that are going to be as they get older. I think all of us have a stake in doing everything we can to give every child the sense of hope and possibility that I knew I grew up with. And I grew up with that despite my father being a postal clerk, my mother being a waitress, my mother not having gotten beyond the 7th grade education, and my father only having a high school education. I grew up believing that you could have a better future. My parents could look at their lives compared to past generations and see a better future. Some of us have the privilege and opportunity that other people don't have. And I think it would do well if we thought about it occasionally. Finally, COVID update. We continue to see influenza and RSV decrease in the community, though COVID numbers are increasing slightly. And it's a respiratory virus season right now, so stay home when you're sick, cover your cough, and get yourself vaccinated. It's important to, get tested if you get a cold. I woke up, I think I've told you this before, a couple of weeks ago, I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I sneezed. Something seemed not quite right. I went in the other room, grabbed a test kit, and I was unfortunate enough to be COVID positive. And it upset my entire week. But it was what it was. But I also knew that I had to basically keep myself in and not go out in circulation. Whereas if this had been a cold or something, flu or something minor like an allergy, I would have been outside, but I was not. And if you are sick and you get COVID, please take care of yourself and please minimize any exposure to other people. We are the vector for spreading COVID, so it'd be really helpful to all of us if those of us who do get it are careful about who we put ourselves around going forward. You can get up to 8 free COVID tests from the federal government by visiting covid.gov/tests, or you can also call 1-800-232-0233. I want to give my health team an opportunity now to offer their thoughts before taking any questions on any other topics you might have. And I'm sure there are probably some other topics out there today. So I'll be back.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. I just want to reiterate your words. As we're tracking the surveillance data, we have seen influenza levels and RSV levels continue to come down. We have seen a bit of a bounce back with COVID, however, where transmissions, hospitalizations, and other data are supporting that. At this time, COVID has leveled off over the past week after coming down a bit for the previous week or two. The JN1 variant is still the prevalent variant and is still infecting a lot of people. I can share that I also got COVID this past week. So, it's definitely continuing to go around. A much milder illness than the first time I had COVID, though. So, and I think that's been a lot of people's experiences. Those that are at increased risk because of respiratory complications, or whose immune systems are not as strong, they should continue at this time until we see those levels come down. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Davis or Dr. Bridgers or Dr. Stoddard if they have any additional comments before we go to questions.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. Nothing from me. Let me just pause that for a minute. The only comment that I have this afternoon is I appreciate our county executive's vision for employing the innovations branch. We did a lot of work within the Department of Health and Human Services with the branch to look at better services and more streamlined capabilities within the agency during COVID, and now to have a better presence and a greater access in the community. So I just wanted to say thank you, a word of thanks to them and to our county executive.
Thank you, Dr. Bridgers and Mr. O'Donnell. Nothing additional from me.
Or me either. So
Thank you very much. Members of the media, any questions regarding any topics? Adam Tuss, you raised your hand first, NBC4. Good afternoon, Adam.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. County Executive Elrich, I was wondering if you could weigh in, speaking of COVID, just about some COVID era street policies. I've talked with some residents in Kensington who are upset that, Beach Drive continues to be closed on the weekend and it's funneling a lot of traffic down their street. Is it worth revisiting some of those decisions about street closures, or just if you could weigh in on that, I'd appreciate it.
I think it's worth revisiting some of those closures. I mean, when everybody was off and we could use the parks 7 days a week pretty freely, there was no harm. I live on Sligo Creek Park in Tacoma Park, and nobody was using it. It was not much pressure, so it didn't make a difference. As traffic resumes, though, and people start driving, closures do have an impact. And, driving traffic through neighborhoods is not necessarily a great benefit, and it's not clear how many more people are able to access the parks, because if you're limited to driving into the parking lots of the park where they had all these facilities and you could drive to and park, it's questionable whether everybody's walking to those same parks. So it might be great for bikers, but it may not be great for everybody else. We did have bike paths. I know Sligo Creek has a bike path. So I think it's not illegitimate to raise these concerns. And I do think that people, when they're closing roads, have to think about what the impact is on people who have to drive. Because if people have to drive and the road and the commutes are made much worse, I think that's a real issue. Or if too much traffic's being pushed through neighborhoods, then we're just passing safety problems on into the neighborhoods. So if you talk about Beach Drive, part of it's parking planning in Montgomery County, but a lot of it is in DC, and that's I think it's U.S. Park Service that actually deals with it. I'm pretty sure it's U.S. Park Service in DC. If it's not that, it's DC government. But those concerns need to be raised with the Parks Department, because the county has no say over this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. Heather Curtis, WMAL Radio. Good afternoon, Heather. You might need to unmute if you're speaking. Heather? We cannot hear you. If you're having audio issues, perhaps you want to write a question in the chat. In the meantime, any other members of the media with questions? Heather?
I think I see her at the top there.
Yes, but we don't hear her, and she's not writing on the chat.
She's got her hand up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she has her hand up, but we do not hear her. If you hear us, write the question in the chat. I think she's having
Scott
technical.
says if she doesn't write it, well, Scott will reach out to her if she doesn't write the question in the chat.
Yeah.
I can't tell if she's doing that right now or not.
She's having audio issues, and let's see if she writes questions on the chat. We'll give her a couple more seconds and see. If not, we'll reach out to you, Heather, okay? Sorry you're having technical difficulties today. It happens. Members of the media, any other questions? No more questions? All right, I guess that's it for today. We'll get back to you, Heather. Wait, they're telling me to wait for just 1 second. Let's see. We're waiting. No other questions, members of the media? Okay. What do you say, Mr. County Executive? We wait or we get back to Heather? She is no longer on the chat. She probably exited to come back in. Oh, no, she's there. Okay, Heather, we'll get back to you then. Any more questions, members of the
Wait,
media?
hang on a second.
Just ask your question.
I have her on the phone here.
Oh, okay, there we are.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for bearing with me here. Wondering if you could comment on tomorrow's GO committee meeting on the spending affordability guidelines and your thoughts on that as budget prep gets underway.
I don't know what they're going to come up with. I think the spending affordability guidelines have to be realistic. They have to reflect both inflationary pressures on the budget and the needs pressures on the budget. You know, the council, you know, we're not the only ones in the executive branch who've suggested adding people and programs to what the county does. And once you start adding people and programs because you decide you need to do more, it's kind of hard to stay with inflation as your guide. So hopefully people will take into account not just inflationary pressures, but the pressures that are created when, you know, wherever it's coming from, we're making decisions that we need to add additional services and resources. I know people want us to put more focus on the crisis intervention teams and to expand the crisis intervention teams. And if we do that, that's more people. And if it's more people, then it's a different budget than staffing it with the people that we have today. I know there's a real desire to put more money into early childhood education. Not an inflation adjustment to inflation, but something that takes early childhood education deeper into the community. You can't do those things and pretend you're going to do it with less money than you had before or with only the same amount of money you had before. So I hope people are realistic that, you know, everybody accounts not just for inflation, but counts for all the other pressures, which all of us, when we're thinking about how we do a better job of serving our residents, make proposals to add services in response to things residents ask us to do. So that's my thoughts on what they're doing tomorrow.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you again for bearing with my technical issues.
That's okay. I'm glad you resorted to the old-fashioned cell phone. I mean,
Exactly.
That was pretty
worked.
cool. It worked. Thank you, Heather. Thank you very much. And thank you for answering the phone, Mr. County Executive. I do not see any more hands up from members of the media. Going once, going twice. All righty then. I guess we're done for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Stay safe. See you next week.
Bye.